In an alternate world which is being threatened by the Demon King and his subordinates, one party known as the Heroes Party decides to take it upon themselves to try and defeat the Demon King alongside his generals. Yuga, the leader of the party, asks his friends whether they are sure about this decision, as there is no backing out at this point, and all three of them claim that they are totally ready to fight against the Demon King, even if it means their death. The mage of the party tells Yuga that they need not to worry, as she has done her research about each and every member of the Demon King's generals, and she thinks that they can crush them if they stick to the plan. Yuga smiles at them, and they all get ready to enter the castle for the last stretch in their battle against the Demon Lord. Once they enter the main door, their luck turns sour as their first opponent turns out to be the captain of the generals, Yuki himself. Yuki tells the Heroes Party that he has been waiting for them to arrive for a while now, and claims that if they want to lay even a finger on the Demon King, they will to go through him first, and there is absolutely no way any of them has the capabilities of defeating him. The mage decides that she has heard enough and rudely cuts him off with a fireball to his face. Yuki swats away the fireball as if it was a fly and tells them that he knew that the Heroes Party was weak, but he didn't know they were so weak that their fireball magic can be blocked by the most basic defensive spells. The tank of the party immediately jumps ahead to try and cut the demon down, but it's of no use as Yuki simply dodges all of his blows before returning the favor with a kick to his body, which sends him flying back. Immediately, the support priestess of the party named Cilia uses her magic to reinforce Yuga, who immediately gets ready to use one of the strongest attacks from his legendary sword Excalibur. But Yuki doesn't even move an inch from where he was standing and uses his own attack, which clashes with the hero's magical powers, overpowering it eventually and blasting them all with a wave of dark energy that knocks them out cold. While he was checking up on them to figure out what to do with them, he notices Cilia lying in the back and immediately realizes that she is exactly his type. His thoughts are broken by the voices of his generals, who ask whether they should finish the party off so that they don't pose a problem ever again. And the green midget asks Yuki why he was staring at the priestess so intently. He immediately deflects the question, claiming that he was just thinking about what to do with these people. The headless man asks whether they should simply finish them off already, but Yuki tells them that it is better to just throw them out of the castle. He tells them to carry these humans outside and leave them near a village which is not so far from this place. The three generals follow the order and carry the Heroes Party outside, while the green midget tells Yuki that he should stop doing things like this, as he will surely get in trouble with the Demon King this time. Yuki tells him not to worry about the Demon King for now, while he takes one last look at Cilia and bids her farewell in his mind as they take her away. 1 month passes by since that day, and the Heroes Party continues making their attempts to siege the castle, but each and every time Yuki easily overpowers them and throws them outside. One day, the Demon King himself calls him in, and alongside his minister asks Yuki why hasn't he killed the Heroes Party yet. The minister makes fun of him by claiming that the Heroes Party must be incredibly weak if they are losing against the likes of weaklings like Yuki. The entire court starts laughing at that joke, while Yuki simply keeps his head down and doesn't say anything back. The Demon King speaks again, which creates a silence in the court once again. He tells Yuki that if the next time the Heroes Party leaves this castle alive, then the next time he would give the job to deal with them to his subordinates instead. Yuki immediately thinks about his subordinates and decides that he can't let that happen, and promises the Demon King that he will make sure that the next time when the Heroes Party enters the castle, they won't leave to see the light of the next day. Back in his quarters, he lays down on his bed and thinks about how he must deal with the Heroes Party once and for all the next time they enter the castle, since he can't have them fight against his juniors, as they stand no chance against the Heroes Party. He thinks about how the Heroes Party is strong enough that they can easily defeat even the Demon King himself, but he manages to keep them at bay just because he has overpowered skills and is stronger than all of them combined. A couple weeks pass by when finally the Heroes Party enters the castle once again. This time Yuki decides that he will finish them once and for all. He tells the leader of the party that he should learn from his mistakes and not continue annoying him every couple of weeks for absolutely no reason but just to get their shit handed to them. Yuga immediately jumps ahead alongside the red-haired tank named Raven, and they quickly surround Yuki for a double attack from 2 different directions. But Yuki is too fast for them, and manages to anticipate it and block it before counter-attacking with his own purple magic blast, forcing the 2 boys back. The boys thought that Yuki was done, but to their surprise, Yuki gives them no time to readjust and fires a second magic blast at them, hitting them square and blasting them off into a wall. Cilia immediately runs towards the duo to heal them and make sure they are okay, while Mika is left behind to keep Yuki at bay and buy Cilia time to heal Yugo and Raven. Mika immediately fires her R-15, which Yuki manages to block, But with that, she also throws a curveball of a fire blast with a delayed explosion which takes Yuki by surprise and explodes right in his face. It doesn't really matter though, as because of his overpowered stats, it doesn't faze him at all. Mika wonders how the hell can a mere general be this strong, but her trick worked as it gave Celia enough time to heal the other two guys enough that they could defend themselves once again. Yuki laughs at them, claiming that nothing will change no matter how many times they fight him. But Yuga is in no mood to talk as he takes out his sword and gets ready for a final counterattack. His sword starts glowing as he collects all the energy into his blade and runs at Yuki to finish him with one final blow. But when the smoke clears up, he again hears Yuki's voice, asking whether he believes now that they can't defeat him no matter how many times they try. Yugo backs off, ready for a counterattack, and tells Yuki that they don't really have a choice and must defeat the Demon King at any cost. To their surprise, Yuki offers to let them pass and reach the Demon King if they leave Celia behind for the time being. Yugo is against this offer as he can't let one of his comrades behind. But Mika makes them see sense, as it is the life of one priestess against millions of people. Yugo is still unsure, but Celia speaks up from behind and tells her party members to leave her behind and go ahead. With that, the hero promises to come back for her as soon as they are done with the Demon King and passes through the gate to the next room. Back in the cave, Yuki starts feeling awkward to be alone with Celia and asks how is she doing. Celia is still on edge though and tells Yuki that even though she knows she stands no chance against him, she will still fight till the bitter end. With that, she immediately shoots a magic blast at him, which Yuki blocks and immediately tells her to calm down as he has no intents of harming a single hair on her body. This confuses her, and she asks why exactly did her have her stop behind then. Yuki then musters up his courage and finally admits that he has fallen for her since the first time he saw her in the castle, and would love to go on a date with her. This is the last thing that Celia could have expected and is insanely shocked, not knowing what to say. She simply apologizes to him, and Yuki gets the hint. He starts brooding on the ground, claiming that there is no reason for him to live in this world. While Celia is still unsure about the entire situation and wonders whether this is just another trick that Yuki is playing on her to get her guard down. She claims that demons are supposed to be heartless, so he shouldn't feel any remorse. But Yuki replies that he is not truly a demon, and he was actually a human in his own world, but was reincarnated in this world as a demon under the command of the Demon Lord. He tells her that the reason her party couldn't defeat him is because he is super OP and stronger than probably anyone in this world. He claims that he isn't even allowed to go out unless and until it is to attack a human village, which he hates because he is still a human deep inside. Celia asks if he was so OP, why didn't he kill the Demon King and do whatever he wanted? But Yuki replies that even though he could kill the Demon King anytime he wants, if he does that, the demons will appoint him as the next Demon King, which he doesn't want at all. At that, Celia responds by saying that he should let all the demon thing go and come into the outside world and start living amongst the humans once again. Yuki suddenly feels a spark in his heart and decides to accept the offer. That was the day when the Demon King was defeated by the hero's party. A huge celebration took place at the royal capital, where the hero's party was honored by the king himself, and a huge fanfare was held for the heroes who saved the country from the clutches of the Demon King. Yuki watched all this from outside and decides to snap off his own horns to look more human and buys a bunch of normal clothes before heading off to the Adventurers Guild. He finds the entire guild empty with only one grumpy-looking receptionist sitting behind the desk. Yuki cheerfully asks whether he could be accepted into the guild, and the guy named Kramen lets out a sigh of frustration since everyone got a holiday for the celebration of the victory against the darkness, but he is the unlucky one who had to come on duty today. He files Yuki in as an adventurer and hands him his adventurer's card, warning him not to lose it as it is a big hassle to reissue these. A couple weeks pass by, during which Yuki was on a grind, completing one quest after the other, becoming the quickest adventurer to rise through the ranks as he attained the D rank from F in a matter of weeks. He is the talk of the guild right now, and even Kramen grabs him, asking how the hell is he ranking up so fast, considering that he is supposed to be a total rookie. Yuki doesn't really know what to reply and simply hands him some of the quests that he wanted to take when Celia arrives out of nowhere and tells him to meet her alone. She takes him back to her house and claims that she wants him to leave the Adventurers Guild. She explains that since the Demon King is now dead, countries are trying to seize more power and resources, and some countries are even trying to acquire Greenland after forcefully capturing Venezuela. She explains that important people from many countries have been trying to hire the strongest adventurers they can find, and claims that Jeff Bezos offered the hand of her wife in marriage to Yugo the hero, in the hopes of acquiring him as a pawn and use him for his military advantage. She claims that at the speed at which he has been climbing through the ranks, it's only a matter of time when some country gets their eye on him and try to acquire him, and that would be disastrous as he would be the human equivalent of a goddamned nuke. Yuki promises to keep it down for a while and make sure he isn't being very flashy. Just then, Celia's mother calls them in her room and tell Yuki that she has been getting marriage offers for her daughter, and even the hero himself proposed a marriage to Celia. This enrages Yuki, who starts ranting about Chads like an incel. But Celia tells him to shut up as she has already declined all of their requests. Hearing this, Yuki turns towards her mother and claims that she has already rejected him once, so he will continue to make a living as an adventurer. And when he can afford a decent life for her, that's when he will propose to her once again and see whether the answer is any different. That seemingly satisfies her mother, and she leaves the two of them alone. Yuki decides to take his leave and tells Celia that he will see her soon, and with that, he returns back to his hovel, waiting eagerly for the time to come when he can propose to her again. A couple days pass by since then, and Yuki decides to take on a new quest for a chimera who has been attacking villagers for absolutely no reason. Crayman told him that this quest will take him at least a week to complete, if not more. But deep in the jungle, when he actually came across the chimera, he realized that it's not really that difficult to deal with this beast. The half-chicken, half-snake looking bastard lunges at him multiple times, but it's of no use as Yuki is much faster than him and keeps tiring it out before finally using his thunderbolt attack to finish it off, once and for all. With that, he collects all the feathers of the beast as a proof for the completion of the quest, realizing that it barely took him half a day to deal with this monster, which means that he can probably gain levels even faster than he expected. Before he could pack up for the day though, he senses a presence around him as a knight erupts from the bushes and tries to stab him in the throat. But Yuki dodges effortlessly. He suddenly notices a bird person flying on top of him who tries to scratch his eyes out. But Yuki uses his magic to create a barrier and repel it back. Before he had any time to regain his composure and figure out who was attacking him, he gets attacked by an elven fairy who he immediately recognizes as Sheik, his underling. He calls him out, claiming that it's him with a different appearance, and Sheik stops at the very last moment, surprised to hear his own name. It takes him a second to realize that it's their captain, and the others also come out of their hiding places confused. Sheik claims that he thought he was one of those pesky adventurers who are out killing demons, and that's why they attacked him. Both Harpy and Duke are shocked to see that their captain is still alive, as they thought that he died alongside the Demon King when the Empire fell. Yuki claims that he is really happy to see that they are all doing well, but Duke immediately jumps on him, asking where the hell did he go after leaving them all alone when the Demon King fell. Duke claims that they were very worried and looked everywhere to try and find him with no luck. Suddenly, he also notices that Yuki doesn't seem to have his horns and wings and looks more like a human now. This confuses Duke, who asks where did his horn disappear, and why is he dressed like a human. Yuki tells him to shut up and let him explain, and with that, he begins his very short explanation about how he is a giant simp who confessed his love to the priestess from the hero's party and got rejected. And that's why he is now living as a human adventurer. His underlings are confused as how can the captain of the generals of the Demon King can suddenly live like a human. Yuki tells them that he has chosen this path himself, and they are free to follow whatever they want in this more peaceful world. All three of them immediately refuse, claiming that they want to stick with him and live as humans, and they are also very interested in meeting the person who he fell in love with. Yuki tells them to think more realistically, as this can't happen as they are obviously demons and won't really have a place in the human world. All three of them agree, though, that if their captain can turn himself to look more like a human, then so can they. Hearing that, Yuki agrees to keep them with him and takes them to meet with Celia, who is horrified to learn that Yuki pulled off the wings of Harpy and scolds him for not even thinking twice about doing that, as even if he wanted them to look more human, pulling the wings of an Harpy must be so painful. Harpy hugs on to Celia, murmuring that she is nice, and even Duke and Sheik are impressed and clap for her. With that, they all head inside her mansion for some tea, and Celia asks Duke whether it's the truth that they were all Yuki's subordinates, mentioning that they don't look much like demons. Duke claims that he is actually a headless knight. Harpy is a harpy and Sheik is a pixie, which are all humanoid creatures instead of being pure demons. Yuki is surprised at how much Duke is actually talking since he wasn't very talkative ever. Duke replies that he didn't used to talk much because of the captain himself, since when Yuki first came to them as their captain, he hated his guts. Ever since Yuki came to this world, he was basically a complete shut-in who wouldn't even talk to his subordinates and even dared to disrespect and disregard the orders given to him by his direct superior Zai, who claimed that it was a complete waste of time to deal with Yuki. Hearing this, Duke decided that he will deal with this pesky new captain himself and teach him how things work here by force. But Yuki turned out to be way too much for Duke, who got his ass whooped by his captain, which gave him a new sense of respect for the strength that Yuck possessed. Celia claims that they seem to care about their captain very much now, and Duke accepts that all three of them have started to care about the captain and the captain about them. Just then, Yuki realizes that he can't hear Harpy and Shake playing anymore and tries to find them. Realizing that they don't know how big of a problem they would get if word gets out that Celia was harboring a bunch of demons. Soon they find Sheik sleeping in the lap of Celia's mother, who claims that he was running around in the garden but soon wore himself out and started sleeping. Yuki immediately apologizes to her, claiming that Sheik is his friend and doesn't know any better. But Celia's mother tells him not to worry too much as she loves children. Yuki then asks whether she has seen a girl who was playing with him, and Celia's mother claims that Sophia, their maid, just took that girl inside the mansion. All of them immediately hurry back to the mansion, worried what Harpy might do if she gets scared, but they find her looking very demure and very mindful in a maid's uniform that Sophia had her wear. Sophia immediately introduces the maid to Celia and the others as a new recruit named Harpy, but Celia explains that she is actually Yuki's friend. Sophia apologizes, claiming that there was a new maid who was supposed to start working today, which got her confused. Yuki tells Harpy to go ahead and get changed, but Harpy tells him that she wants to work and asks Sophia whether she could work here. Sophia smiles, claiming that she will show her the servants' quarters soon. By the time evening falls, Yuki and his friends except Harpy get ready to depart, and Sheik rubs his eyes lazily, muttering how lucky Harpy is that she can stay in the big mansion. Celia tells them to visit anytime they want, and her mother takes Yuki aside, claiming that Celia has been busy with a lot of work lately and hasn't had any time to rest in a while, so she will make sure Celia takes a holiday tomorrow and asks Yuki to take her out on a date. The next morning, Yuki eagerly waits outside the city square for Celia to arrive. And arrive she does in her beautiful wagon pulled by two griffins. She soon hops out of the wagon but has completely changed her appearance by dressing like a commoner and wearing a thick pair of glasses. Yuki is mesmerized by her beauty and takes her hand before they both start roaming around in the city. Celia seems to be interested by any and all small things that she can see around, and stops at a cake shop begging Yuki to go for a tea later at this place. They go to several other places, play with cats, try on new dresses, and Yuki was finally going to take her into a gift shop to get her a dainty little gift for her to remember the day by, but his luck takes a bad turn as it turns out that the hero Yuga and Mika were also out on a date today in civilian clothing. Yuga immediately runs up to Celia and starts chatting her up, completely ignoring Yuki, who was standing right there. Yuga tells Celia that she should join them, which Yuki doesn't like at all. Thankfully, Celia replies that she is out with a friend as well for the day. And that's when Yuga realizes that Yuki is also around. He still doesn't really care though, and replies that he can come as well if he wants, and with that he enters the gift shop with Celia, leaving Mika and Yuki behind. Mika seems to be just as pissed as Yuki as she claims that she hopes Celia falls for a commoner like him. This makes Yuki a little happy, but soon he realizes that Mika meant it as an insult to Celia and nothing else. He realizes that Mika seems to be a very terrible person. Meanwhile, the hero is still inside the gift shop talking to Celia. Yuki thinks about the fact that Celia has already turned down the hero's marriage proposal once. Any sane man would turn around and leave the girl alone. But this hero seems to be a little too shameless, but Yuki decides that he is not going to back off so easily either. He goes inside the store and picks out a necklace for Celia, asking whether she likes it. Celia blushes and replies that she thinks it's really beautiful. Just then, Yuga jumps in the middle with a huge emerald tiara, boasting that it's the most expensive thing in the entire store, and takes off Celia's hat to put it on. Celia's glasses fall to the ground, and the crowd immediately recognizes her as Celia the priestess, and the others must be Mikana and Yuga. The crowd completely surround them, while Yuki is left behind since he is basically a no one. He quickly runs after the crowd, trying to find Celia, but instead he runs into the tall swordsman called Raven, who is also surrounded by a bunch of girls. He decides to help the poor chap out, and distracts the girls before taking his hand and running away with him into an alley. He quickly decides to leave, but Raven stops him. Yuki is surprised by how girlish Raven's voice is, but he has no time for all this. Raven, however, asks whether he would like to be his friend since everyone else makes fun of his voice. Yuki agrees, and with that he again continues his search for Celia. He soon finds her in her disguise near a little boy who lost his mother in the crowd. Yuki decides to help, and together they start looking for the boy's mother. Yuki tells Celia that she should head home, but she refuses, and the search continues. The next morning, when Yuki goes to meet with Celia, her mother greets him and tells him that Celia collapsed in the morning due to exhaustion from yesterday's commotion with the public. He apologizes for not being able to take care of her, but her mother tells him not to worry as it was clearly the hero's fault for doing all that. Moreover, he also barged in their house and insisted that he take care of Celia, but Sophia threw him out. To his surprise, her mother gives him the permission to see Celia, and he goes into her room to find her a bed. There they talk about how crazy yesterday was, and then Celia asks him to take her out the next time she has a free day once again. This makes Yuki super excited, and he starts acting out, which makes Celia laugh, which leads to her coughing. And Sophia angrily kicks Yuki out. While he was returning back to his house, he runs into Raven, who asks him for an advice. He claims that there is a girl that he likes, who has always been kind to him, but he doesn't know how to tell her that he loves her with his voice. Yuki gives him a pep talk and then tells him to knock it out of the park. To his surprise, he thanks him and then starts moving towards Celia's house, making Yuki realize in horror that he likes Celia. Yuki starts panicking that he just gave a dose of motivation and confidence to his rival, and no matter how much he tries to convince himself that Celia won't accept anyone's confession so easily, his thoughts begin running wild. He imagines that one day, Celia lost her energy while fighting demons, and then Raven caught her like they were in a K-drama. His worries start eating him from inside, but just then, Raven returns, completely defeated. Yuki asks him what the hell happened, and he mumbles that despite his pep talk, he remains a loser. As Raven walks away dejected, Yuki gets closer about what Celia told him that broke him so much. He returns to the mansion, but Sophia is guarding the door, and she asks him if he forgot something. Yuki meekly tells her that he was just curious about how Celia is doing, despite knowing how sus his answer seems because he just saw her. Sophia refuses to let him in and tells him that Celia needs no visitors right now. Yuki can't go back empty-handed, so he decides to ask Sophia directly about Raven. She tells him that Raven called for Harpy, and Yuki finds it hard to believe that he was going to confess to a demon. He can't help his curiosity and goes to talk to Harpy, who is busy cleaning the garden. Yuki asks her if the tall guy with red hair came to see her, and Harpy affirms. Yuki asks her what did she tell him when he confessed his feelings, and Harpy replies that she just told him that there is no way she is going out with him. Even Yuki feels the second-hand hurt from her blunt response, and he understands that if Harpy doesn't like Raven, nothing can happen. Harpy tells him it is not like that, but as Yuki asks her to elaborate, she walks away to continue her work. Yuki decides to talk to her the next day, and at night, he calls Sheik and Duke to have a chat about the matter. They want to know who is the guy called Raven is, and Yuki reminds them of the knight in the hero's party who kept losing to him. Duke asks Yuki why did he let a human near Harpy, even though he claimed to like her. Yuki replies that he didn't even know that Raven was interested in her, and Duke says that even if Raven's intentions are genuine, he doubts that Harpy will let him get close to her. He talks about how harpies are incredibly beautiful and humans try to capture them for their feathers or for slavery. He remembers how he once saved Harpy from some humans, and that is how she ended up in the Demon Lord's army. However, Sheik believes that Harpy doesn't hate humans, because if that were the case, she would never have wanted to become a maid at Celia's mansion. Yuki agrees with him and says that even though Duke is right to worry about Harpy, Raven is not a bad guy, and it is possible that Harpy has sensed that already. The next day, Yuki goes to the guild to get some quests, but he finds that Kramen is not available today, so he has no choice but to go to the other receptionist. She recognizes him and asks if he is the guy who always talks to the Vice Guild Master, and Yuki doesn't even understand who she is talking about. Only after she explains things clearly does Yuki realizes that the lazy and tired guy is actually the Vice Guild Master. He digests the shock somehow, and then asks the receptionist where Kramen is. She calls him close and starts whispering in his ear, saying that he is in the hospital. Worried about his friend, Yuki heads to the hospital and finds Kramen covered in bandages because of serious injuries. He asks who the hell attacked him so brutally, and Kramen replies that his wife beat him. Yuki is aghast on learning this, but before he can call 911 for domestic violence, Kramen explains that yesterday was his wedding anniversary, and he wanted to buy something special for his wife. However, he could not make up his mind even after hours, so the staff at the gift shop kicked him out. He returned home super late, and empty-handed at that, so his wife got furious, thinking that he forgot their anniversary, and that is how he ended up here. Yuki is still trying to process the statement, and he tells Kramen that his wife sounds really strong. Kramen proudly affirms, saying that she used to be an A-rank adventurer, just like him, and they were the strongest power couple in the game. He remembers how people called them the invincible couple of apathy, and Yuki doesn't think that it is something that he should be proud of. Anyway, he offers to heal Kramen with his healing magic instantly, but he grumpily refuses, saying that this is his chance to act like a baby while his wife nurses him to health. Yuki is taken aback by his logic and gives up, when suddenly, Kramen's wife comes to check up on him. Surprisingly, his wife is none other than the maid Sophia, and Yuki is blown out of his mind on making the connection. Kramen is delighted to see Sophia and calls her honey, but she kicks him in the head for it because he always calls her by her name. Kramen is a true opportunist, and he takes a W even in this situation by seeing what his wife is wearing inside the skirt, and Sophia has no problem with that because they are married. Yuki, on the other hand, is embarrassed by this weird couple. and after a while, he calls Sophia outside to ask about Celia's health. She replies that Celia is feeling better now, but Yuki cannot see her because she is busy doing some errands. Yuki sighs on hearing that and asks Sophia if gifts are really important for women. Sophia gets ready to give Kramen some more injuries in case he told something embarrassing to Yuki, but he changes the topic and says that he wants to make Celia happy by giving her a better gift than the last time. Sophia tells him that his feelings are what matter the most, and wishes him the best as he leaves. On the way, Yuki begins imagining scenarios if he marries Celia, but his imagination is limited to what he saw in his previous life. Soon after that, he reaches the knight's quarters to check up on Raven, who is still in shock after being rejected. No matter what Yuki tries to get his attention, Raven doesn't respond, so in the end, Yuki takes Harpy's name. Raven immediately gets up, asking him how does he know that name. Yuki replies that he has known Harpy for a long time, and that is why. He wanted to know what made the knight captain fall for her. Raven begins the story about how he was just minding his business in the market one day, when he saw 3 thugs harassing a maid. He stepped in to help her, and though the thugs were overconfident initially, just knocking one of them out was enough to force them to run. After Raven was sure that Harpy would not be bothered, he began walking away. But she tugged on his cape and thanked him for saving her. He told her that it was duty, realizing only later that he let his real voice slip up. Raven was embarrassed, but Harpy told him that he had a nice voice and she was envious of him. She ran off with that, and Raven found his first love. He claims that he knew the maid uniform, and Yuki realizes that is why he went to Celia's mansion. Raven is surprised to learn that Yuki knows Celia, and it is his turn to talk about how he fell in love with her, and now he is trying to become a successful adventurer to be worthy of her. Raven feels even more miserable on hearing this because he feels like a loser who can't even work hard for the girl he likes. Yuki tells him that it is not his fault, and Harpy simply doesn't deal well with men because of past trauma. He tells Raven that it is too early for him to give up, and says that they need to hit the market for the first step forward. They go to a shop that is full of couples shopping for jewelry and stuff for each other, and Raven feels nervous that they are in the wrong place. Yuki tells him to relax, and then finds that the pendant he wanted to buy for Celia the last time is still there. He buys it, and then finds Raven looking at some other gifts. Yuki suggests him to buy the one with the pink feathers, and Raven is not sure if Harpy will appreciate a gift from a complete stranger. Yuki just repeats what Sophia told him about putting his heart in the gift, and assures him that Harpy will like the design. Raven thinks that he will get to see Harpy with the gift as an excuse, so just like any simp, he spends money on something he is not even sure the girl will like. He uses notes to communicate with the store clerk, and Yuki is a bit taken aback by that. Just then, Mika also arrives there, and despite the Superman glasses that disguise appearance, she identifies Raven as well as Yuki because he was with Celia the other day. She asks what are 2 men doing in a shop where couples go, and tells them that it is okay to be gay because this is not the 60s. Yuki tells her to shut up and declares that they are just buying gifts for the women they love. And Mika gets curious to learn who is the lady that captured their silent knight's heart. Raven doesn't say anything, and Mika feels guilty about that because she once laughed at his voice and he has never spoken to her since that day. Yuki realizes that Mika might be a bitch, but at least she has a heart, and then she invites the boys to talk about their love lives in detail. Yuki tells her that he is not interested, but Raven knows Mika is as persistent as someone who wants a Nobel Prize despite not deserving it. He tells Yuki that they should just get it over with, and they go to an empty restaurant. However, both Yuki and Raven start eating without taking a pause because that gives them an excuse to not speak. Mika realizes that and says that if they can't talk, she can't give them any information on Celia. Yuki doesn't do yoga, but he immediately folds on hearing that and gets ready to talk. Mika first asks him how far has he gone with Celia, and he replies that they are not yet dating, and she is still getting too many marriage proposals. He says that Celia has rejected all of them, including the one from the hero, and Mika can understand why. She claims that Yuga always gets on Celia's nerves as he has no delicacy. He always tries to create chances to meet her, and doesn't even care if he is barging in on girls while they are changing or bathing. On top of that, he is a playboy who often delayed their plans because girls wanted him to stay longer in their city, and Celia openly told him to keep it in his pants. Mika tells Yuki that it is in his best interests not to anger Celia, and after that, she asks Raven to tell his story. Yuki immediately gets up to defend his friend's pure love, and Mika is offended by how they are treating her like a villain. She nervously says that she just wanted to help them and get some help in return, which makes Raven curious if everything is right between her and Yuga. He assures her that she can trust Yuki, and she threatens to roast him medium rare if he tells anyone about what she is going to say now. She then gets serious and says that they were defeated many times at the Demon Lord's castle, and Yuki has to pretend shocked like it wasn't him who made them bite the dust each time. Mika tells him that a guard protecting the entrance was super strong, and he not only defeated them but humiliated them by leaving them completely healed in the nearby village. They made excuses about not being ready enough to protect the honor of the hero and the party. But after they kept losing for 1 month straight and the village ran low on supplies, the demon guard made them an offer to leave Cilia behind and proceed ahead. Mika says that she convinced everyone to take up the offer, and that is why she feels that Yuga hates her. She feels that Yuki will also hate her for endangering Cilia's life. But then Raven speaks up, telling Mika that it is not her fault, and he should have spoken up during that time as well. Yuki realizes that he created a rift in the heroes' party, and he asks Mika if she talked to Cilia about this. Mika gets embarrassed because her reason to convince everyone was her love for Yuga, and she feels that Cilia will not forgive her for that. In response, Yuki asks if she is going to let things stay awkward between them forever. Mika gets some clarity after hearing that, and she decides to apologize to Cilia. Once she leaves, Raven is also filled with determination to talk to Harpy again. He goes to the mansion with Yuki, but coincidentally, Sheik and Duke are also there to see Harpy. As soon as Yuki introduces Raven to Duke, he gets offensive, asking if he is just a desperate loser that he came back to make a move on a girl who has already rejected him. Yuki tries to defend Raven and also tells him that Duke cares a lot about Harpy, so he is overly cautious. Duke asks Raven what is he here for, and after being cornered, Raven says that he knows nothing about Harpy, but he still wants to talk to her one more time. Duke doesn't even care that he sounds like Sabrina Carpenter, and tells him that he should say things like he is going to protect Harpy and make her happy, because that is the dialogue that wins over the girl's guardians. However, Raven refuses to plagiarize and Duke is low-key impressed. He pushes him towards Harpy, telling him to say what he wants to her. Raven goes to a quiet place with Harpy and holds out the gift to her, nervously asking if they can be friends at least. Harpy is happy on getting a gift, and she decides to let Raven become her friend, even though she has no intentions beyond that. A couple days pass by and Yuki is feeling pretty down since it's been over a week since the last time he saw Cilia, which has drained the energy out of him. Sheik runs up to him and starts jumping around the room begging him to go to Cilia's mansion so he could play around in the garden with Harpy. Yuki isn't really in the mood though and tells him that they will go some other time as right now he just wants to sleep till he can meet with her again. He thinks about how he had no idea how busy the heroes' party is most of the days. Cilia is mostly never at home as she travels around from one city to another, healing people who are down on their luck, and no other healer could do anything for them. Raven is the captain of the guards, so he always needs to deal with the new recruits and make sure all of them are in order. Mika is the palace mage, who deals with any problem that the royal court is having, while Yuga is basically the brand ambassador of the kingdom as he deals with most of the diplomacy and takes care of the high-level monsters that the lower-level adventurers can't deal with. He thinks about how compared to them he is just a waste of space and wonders if he can do anything for them to make their lives easier. His thoughts are broken when Sheik jumps on his chest and starts complaining about how he would have gone with Duke. But Raven scouted him for the Knights and offered him a position which Duke took, so now the only unemployed people are him and Yuki. Before Yuki could come up with an excuse to blow him off though, Harpy knocks on the door and enters in the room. Sheik immediately gets excited thinking that now he can get out of this depressing room and get some sunlight, when Harpy tells Yuki that Cilia has sent her with a message, claiming that she is free in the afternoon and would love to meet him. Yuki is overjoyed after hearing this and immediately gets up, thinking about how he can finally give her the necklace that he bought from the gift shop. Sheik decides to head back to the mansion with Harpy leaving Yuki alone, who decides to go out to get some well-deserved sunlight and maybe touch some grass. While walking through the streets, wondering what should he do to pass the time till the afternoon when an old woman calls out to him and claims that he should have his future checked, as she can see that his luck is down today and he is going to have a terrible day. Nothing could dampen Yuki's mood today though, and he brushes the old bag off, claiming that he is going to meet the girl of his dreams today. There is nothing which could go wrong today. While walking, he decides to get some cupcakes from the bakery as a gift to Cilia, but he is confused to see a jacked gym bro wearing a pink apron, breaking all gender norms, selling cupcakes. He walks up to him, asking where is the girl who normally sells the cakes, and the man turns out to be her brother, claiming that she is busy for the day and he can take care of him. Yuki decides to take some cupcakes and asks the gym rat to pack it up for him, but the roided up bastard packs it and shoves it into Yuki's chest so hard that Yuki wonders whether he broke a rib. While on his way, he opens the bag to see that half of the cupcakes are crushed thanks to Sam Sulek's enthusiasm, and hopes that the sweet girl would return soon to sell them. He decides to try one, and the cupcake turns out to be pretty amazing regardless of being half crushed. In his distraction though, he runs into a giant man, who turns around angrily, but decides to let it go. Yuki decides to go on his way once again, this time a little careful about where he is walking, when he almost steps onto a pile of dogshit. He realizes that his day is not going so well and decides to watch where he is going carefully when a little idiot brat runs into him and falls down. Yuki manages to break his fall by catching him, but the meat skewer that the brat was holding falls to the ground and the idiot starts crying. Yuki tries to console him and later takes him to the skewer stand and buys him 2 more skewers from the cart. The boy thanks him and runs away. While before Yuki could even understand what was happening, a man runs into him and manages to steal his purse. Yuki immediately realizes that he has been pickpocketed and rushes after the thief, who is no match for his speed, and gets swift dropkick to the back of his head. The thief slams into the wall and gets knocked out cold, while Yuki gets his wallet back and was about to go his way when a voice calls out to him from behind, claiming that robbery in daylight would never happen in this city. He turns around only to see none other than the hero Yuga standing in front of him with his sword drawn out. He tells Yuki to drop the purse right now and surrender, but Yuki tries to explain that he was the one who got pickpocketed. But Yuga is too thick-skulled. Wo decides not to listen and starts swinging his sword. Yuki manages to dodge the first attack and backsteps the next few steps, but during this, Yuga manages to slash the coin purse in half, causing all his money to fall to the ground. Yuki decides that the best course of action would be to run away without the money, but even that turns out to be difficult as his way gets blocked by a bunch of royal guards. He is swiftly captured and taken to the dungeons, where he is put in a dark and dingy cell. Yuki lets out a sigh of frustration as he realizes that the old woman was telling the truth and this entire day is cursed. Before he could get even more sad though, he hears a familiar voice as Duke walks up to his jail cell and asks what the hell he did to get here. Yuki totally forgot that Duke now works as a royal guard, while Duke asks Yuki whether he beat the crap out of some innocent person just because Cilia was not giving him the time of the day. Yuki tells him that he has not done anything. In fact, he is the one who was getting robbed, but the idiot hero ended up using police brutality on him and didn't even let him get a lawyer. Duke tells him not to worry as Raven managed to seize the case, and he is verifying all the information right now, which means that he is a free man. Yuki lets out a sigh of relief when an elven woman guard named Irene walks up to Duke and tells him that they should return back to training. Duke tells her to hand over the key first as Yuki is free to leave. Irene immediately hands him the key and releases Yuki while telling him that the hero Yuga would also like to apologize for his mistake. Yuki is a little surprised by that, but Yuga ends up treating him to a huge feast with Raven to make up for his mistake. He apologizes to him in person, begging for forgiveness while telling him to eat as much as he can. They soon sit down and absolutely house the meal, after which Raven again writes down on a sheet of paper telling Yuga to apologize again. Yuga claims that he had no idea Yuki was friends with Raven, and reveals that this is the very first time that he saw Raven lose his temper. That was when Yuga suddenly remembers that Yuki is the same person he ran into while he was in town with Mika. He immediately asks what is his relationship with Cilia, and Yuki kind of gets surprised by the question and responds that they are just friends. Yuga immediately begs him for some advice in how he can maintain a better relationship with Cilia. Yuki immediately gets overwhelmed as Yuga has no idea that he is asking for advice from his very own rival. Yuki decides to defuse the situation by claiming that he only met Cilia a couple weeks ago, and he should ask someone who knows her better. Yuga turns towards Raven, but he immediately writes down that he is not going to answer any of those questions as he himself has no idea about it. Yuga then looks down defeated, claiming that he can't really ask Mika either, as she hates Cilia. This strikes both Raven and Yuki, who just had a conversation with her. Yuki asks Yuga to explain what he is talking about, and since Yuga has no idea that Yuki is the demon general, he explains how during a very difficult battle against a demon general, there was a condition set by the demon to leave Cilia behind, and Mika immediately agreed to it. Yuki claims that it's not what happened, but Yuga snaps back, asking whether he was there to see it, and immediately Yuki saves himself from blowing his cover and replies that he heard it from Mika. Yuga claims that Mika could only tell them to leave Cilia behind if she hated her. But Yuki argues that at the end of the day, he was the leader, and he made the final decision to leave Cilia behind. Yuga realizes that Yuki is talking facts, but he still can't accept it, claiming that he would never leave Cilia behind. But Raven puts his hands on Yuga's shoulder and shakes his head. Yuki gives voice to Raven by telling Yuga that he is the hero and should stop blaming his allies for his questionable decision. This really hits Yuga, and he starts crying before finally stopping as he realizes how he has treated Mika badly, even though she has always supported him throughout his life. He decides to make it up to her and apologize immediately, but drags both Raven and Yuki both with him as he is too much of a bitch to go alone. He then immediately barges into her home without knocking and finds her getting dressed. Mika screams at him, but he doesn't care and immediately apologizes to her for treating her badly and pinning the blame of leaving Cilia on her. Mika, mad as ever, grabs her magic staff and decides to finally let her frustration out and starts beating the crap out of the hero, while Yuki leaves the rest to Raven and leaves for Cilia's mansion. On the way, he gets stopped by Sam Sulek once again, but this time his sister is with him, and she gives him a new pack to apologize for the last one, which was crushed. He thanks her for the gift and rushes along the way, when he gets surrounded by a bunch of men in suits. Expecting trouble, he wonders what he did this time. But it turns out that the kid who ran into him was from a noble family, so as a show of gratitude, they give him a pack of skewers as well. Yuki thanks them and rushes towards Celia's mansion and finds her sitting on a chair reading books. She greets him warmly as he presents her with the cakes and the skewers. Celia thanks her for the gifts and claims that she would get some tea when suddenly Yuga barges in their room and screams at Celia that he has realized her mistake. But Mika punches him in the face and tells him to shut his dumb ass up. Raven also arrives at the moment and Mika decides to move in front and apologizes to Celia for leaving her behind, claiming that they were teammates and shouldn't have left her behind under any circumstances. Celia simply smiles, claiming that the lives of millions of people were on the line and defeating the Demon King was more important. Moreover, she reminds her that once they defeated the Demon King, even though Mika was beyond exhausted and she had no more mana left, she still ran full tilt back towards Celia to make sure that she was okay. And the moment she saw her, Mika collapsed out of exhaustion and relief. Everything seems to have gone well at the end, as Celia and Yuki go out for a little evening walk by the sunset. When Yuki pulls out the necklace he bought for her, and she accepts it gracefully, thanking him for everything he has done for him till now. A couple days pass by since then, when one fine morning, Yuki gets the opportunity of a lifetime to accompany Celia to one of her field sites and help her with her work. Unfortunately for him, nothing he wants can ever go smoothly, and this time the problem comes in the form of Sheikh, who managed to get his nose between their business, and convinced Celia to let her accompany them as he is feeling bored. In the carriage, Sheikh seems pretty excited, claiming that he has never actually been in a carriage before. But Yuck tells him not to get too ahead of himself as they are not going on a fun trip, and that they are accompanying Celia so that they can help her with her work. Celia smiles and thanks them for coming with them, but she starts looking a little nauseated. Yuki immediately gets worried and asks whether she is alright. Celia responds kindly that she is fine, and the main problem is that she is a little motion sick. Yuki suggests that maybe they take a small break before continuing on their journey, but Sheikh comes up with a better idea and hands her a potion, claiming that it's a secret potion brewed by the pixies which is supposed to help her get over such issues. Celia takes the potion thankfully and gulps it down. To her surprise, her motion sickness basically disappears completely. She thanks Sheikh for the drug, while Sheikh turns his smug mug towards Yuki, asking whether he is now feeling a little more happy that he came along with him. Yuki tries to push him away, while Celia laughs, claiming that she is really glad that both of them managed to accompany her on her expedition as it made her feel much more confident. A little while later, they reach the village where the diseases have been prevailing for some time now. Celia notices that the village is very serene, but there is not much liveliness to be seen here. They soon come upon an old man who immediately recognizes Celia and greets her, claiming that he could have never expected her to come to the aid of their village. Celia greets him back and introduces both Yuki and Sheikh, claiming that they are her friends and skilled mages themselves who will be able to help the villagers. The old geyser takes them to a church where they find most of the injured and diseased people lying at the mercy of their gods who have been dead for a long time now. Yuki notices that Celia is really pouring her heart out to help all these poor villagers, and he does his part as well. The old geyser turns up once again and thanks Yuki for helping them. When Yuki asks whether there have been any fatalities yet, the old man replies that they would have all been dead days ago, when a group of bandits suddenly descended upon them. But then a man showed up out of nowhere and fought them off before disappearing as well. Yuki wonders whether there was some infighting between two bandit groups when he notices that Celia looks a little tired, even if she is pulling a front of being strong and smiling to every villager who comes to her for help. He walks up to her and suggests that they take a short break, but Celia refuses, claiming that she is alright and gets up to help more. Yuki decides to take an executive decision and knocks her out with one of his spells. The villagers immediately get worried as he grabs her in his arms and tells them that she is just tired and needs to rest a little. When the next time Celia opens her eyes again, she finds herself in a room with Sheikh and Yuki waiting for her. She immediately realizes that Yuki must have knocked her out and tells Yuki that he should respect other people's decision, instead of doing what he thinks is best for them. This sounded like one of the combos that I would hate to have with my girlfriend. But Yuki handles it expertly and tells her to stay silent wench, as women don't know what's good for them. Since feminism hasn't reached them yet, Celia simply agrees, but tells him not to do that again without consent. Yuki promises that he won't and reveals that she can rest easy as they have already healed all of the villagers. Celia smiles at them brightly and thanks them for all the help that they provided her with the villagers. Before Yuki could seize the moment and ask for her permission to smash, the old geyser interrupts them again, this time asking Celia whether she can take a look at a girl named Teal who lives on the outskirts of the village and has been sick for a while. Yuki asks whether she got injured during the bandit raids, but the old man shakes his head, claiming that she was away during all that. Celia, being the nice person she is, immediately agrees to accompany him to the girl. They reached the girl's house by the time the sun started setting and entered it to find a cute little cottage that is bigger than 5 New York apartments combined. Celia introduces herself and asks Teal whether she is okay. As she begins to reply though, she ends up getting a coughing fit. Yuki immediately tells Shake to use his magical potions, and soon enough, she starts feeling better already. Teal thanks Shake for the potion, claiming that he must be sent to her directly by the guardian deity himself. Yuki asks what the hell is she blabbering about, and surprised, Teal asks whether they haven't seen the statue at the outskirts. Yuki is confused, but Teal continues that one day a bunch of bandits descended upon the village. She escaped the attack just because she went to give an offering to the statue, and according to her that was a way of her guardian deity protecting her. Yuki and Shake both thinks that this was nothing more than a coincidence, but Teal replies that one time when she was returning back to her house in the darkness, she got surrounded by a bunch of wolves and would have died for sure. But the guardian deity shocked them with his magical dark lightning and saved her life. This arouses Yuki's curiosity, and he asks her to take them to the statue. A little while later, they finally reach the statue, which is very clearly not of a god, but that of a demon. Teal is very defensive though, claiming that the guardian deity is not a demon. She immediately gets another fit of cough, and Celia decides that it would be better if she takes her back to her cottage. Yuki and Shake both stay behind to have a closer look at the statue, and Yuki remarks how the statue looks very similar to the gargoyles in the Demon King's castle. When suddenly the statue comes to life and attacks them. Both of them manage to dodge the attack and confirm that the statue is in fact a demonic being. Shake immediately jumps into action and kicks the demon in the face, before locking it in an armbar, waiting on further instructions by Yuki. Shake takes his knife out, ready to kill the demon, but Yuki tells him to wait, as he wants to have a conversation with the demon. Once separated, the demon asks whether they are not here to kill him, and Yuki reminds him that he is the one who attacked them first. The demon apologizes and reveals that he was created to guard a certain temple far away from this place. But one day that temple was looted, and he was also stolen alongside other goods. The same group of bandits then decided to attack this innocent village, so he decided to bring forth divine judgment on them and destroy them all. Ever since that day, the villagers installed him as their guardian deity. That was all a long time ago though, and almost everyone in the village slowly forgot about him. Apart from that girl who regularly visited him no matter what. She always kept the area clean, and he made sure that nothing and no one ever harmed her in any way. He even prevented her from going back to the village that day when the bandit attacked the village. Yuki seems to understand and asks whether he means any harm to the humans in the village. The demon claims that he doesn't really care about the other villagers at this point, nor does he have any intentions to get involved, but he will make sure to keep that girl from any harm. Yuki decides that there is no reason for removing the demon then and moves on, before sending Shake away on a special task. This leaves him alone with Celia during the moonlit night where they walk through the beautiful forests. Yuki tells her that the demon shouldn't be causing anyone any problem, so they should just let it be, and Celia agrees with that. Suddenly, Yuki finds himself out of words as he looks at Celia looking beautiful in the moonlight as she smiles. While walking, Celia ends up tripping on one of the branches, but Yuki grabs her in time and saves her from falling. The tension is palpable, but since it's a PG-13 show, we can't really do much and move on. Soon they both return to the village, and just in time as a bunch of bandits end up attacking the village once again. Yuki and Celia manage to reach to fortify the defenses, but Yuki tells a sleepy Shake to just go ahead and deal with the bandits however he wants. Shake yawns loudly before jumping ahead and kicking the crap out of the first 2 bandits and slitting the throats of 2 others. Celia is surprised to see Shake in action, as she didn't expect him to be this strong. But Yuki tells her that he is his subordinate, so obviously he is going to be strong. With that, he decides to enter the fray himself while Celia supports him. He uses one of his abilities, knock away 7 bandits all at once, while blocking the attack of another bandit who tried to sneak up on him. The bandit is shocked, but is blown away instantly. Suddenly, Yuki senses someone creeping from behind and knocks out a bandit who is trying to surprise Celia from behind. She thanks him for his help when suddenly they notice a bunch of smoke coming from the forest right where the guardian deity is supposed to be. Yuki orders Shake to go and search around, and Shake immediately leaves to investigate. Another wave of bandits approach Yuki, claiming that they are overestimating themselves, but Yuki tells them that he doesn't really need to think much about defeating them. He simply uses one of his wind magic abilities and captures them in a tornado, before bounding them together with a rope. Yuki gets a little worried since Shake hasn't been back yet, so he ventures inside the forest with Celia to see what's up, only to find a horrific scene with Teal crying over the demon who had his wings sliced away, while a man in red and black grabs Shake by the throat and kicks him away. Celia immediately runs up to Shake, making sure he is alright, while Yuki wonders who the hell this man is who was able to defeat Shake so easily. Celia tells Yuki to be careful, as that man is named Miller, who is the hero of the Galleys Empire. Yuki is a little taken aback, as he didn't expect there to be more than one hero in this world. Miller smirks at them, claiming that they should get out of his way as he starts walking to finish off the demon gargoyle. Yuki shoots his lightning magic at him, but to his surprise, Miller's sword seems to absorb all the magic, leaving him unscathed. He reveals that his sword is called the Magic Eater, which can nullify any magic attacks, and the reason why he is attacking them and raiding them is to start a war between the two kingdoms. With that, he slashes of the demon's arm as well, while Team begs him to stop. Yuki starts shooting one magical attack after the other, but none of it seems to affect him as he continues to walk towards Yuki, who tries using one of his most powerful attacks, but as the dust clears, they find Miller standing there with a smirk on his face. Yuki for some reason doesn't stop though and continues pumping magic towards Miller when suddenly the sword starts cracking. Yuki smiles, claiming that at the end of the day, it's a human-made sword which can contain only a finite amount of magical energy. He increases his magical output even more and shatters the sword completely. Miller is astounded, but his troubles are about to begin as Yuki lands a devastating punch to his face, knocking him out. But the hero turns out to be stronger than he looks and shoots a magical beam at the gargoyle. But Teal ends up tanking the blow and gets critically injured. Before Yuki could do anything, the hero uses a magical arrow shower which Yuki blocks, but Miller escapes. This angers Yuki so much that he ends up losing control and transforms into a fully fledged demon. He chases Miller through the forest and beats the crap out of him with punches and kicks till Miller is half dead. With that, he drops the hero into the lake and returns back to the village. He spots Celia waiting for him outside and thanks him for everything that he has done for them till now. Thankfully, even Teal ends up recovering from her wounds and begs them to take her back to the capital city so she can look for a cure to help her guardian deity. Celia comes up with an idea of hiring her as one of her maids and takes the demon in as a Buddha statue to hide him for now, hoping things don't end badly. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.